What's up, YouTube? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Whether you're a returning subscriber or a new subscriber, welcome in, you guys. I go by X King Chris, and today is Vlogmas Day 16. So as you guys can tell by the title, this video was a requested video from one of my subscribers. They wanted me just to sit down and talk and give you guys a video about my CDL process and any tips that I may want to give new drivers or people looking to get their CDL. But before we even get to this video, go ahead and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Follow my social medias, y'all. Instagram at XKingChris, and my TikTok is XKingChris1. I had to think about it for a second. But one more thing before we even move on, go ahead and share this video to anybody you think that wants to go get their CDLs and wants to start driving trucks. But this video is going to be kind of a two-part video. The first half of this video is going to be kind of me telling you guys about my process and getting my CDLs. And the second half of this video is kind of going to be my tips and my advice on what I think you should do moving forward trying to get your CDL, if that makes sense. Really around this time last year, you guys, I was in CDL school going to get my CDLs, and y'all see I'm currently here in a truck. And my 1 year mark is coming up slowly but surely. I actually went to 160 Driving Academy in Greensboro, North Carolina. That's quote unquote one of the best truck driving schools in the nation. So my first week, you guys, in truck driving school, it was really just us. And when I say us, I mean the people who actually started the class with me. We really just sat on the computer behind a Zoom call, just literally learning stuff about trucking, rules and regulations. It's just so much stuff that we learned between the time of 5 days from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. But it was also people on a Zoom call from other states that's also going to get their CDL. So it was like really one big Zoom call with a lot of students. But after like each segment, we would have just little quizzes or whatever to test our knowledge. So that was really just like the first week in what we did, just basically sitting behind a Zoom call, learning stuff about trucking, rules and regulations, the basics, all of that. So on to week number two. Week number two was kind of weird because basically we had to take all of our knowledge that we learned from the Zoom call, and then we had to go to the DMV and actually get our permit, because we could not get into the truck unless we had our permit. And then also we had to do our drug screen. So I think we did that like maybe in the middle of the week. So it's like that second week kind of put us behind on actually graduating in 4 weeks. We went to the DMV to go take our test. I think there were 3 parts on the test. I think I had to go back the second time to finish the test because I had to retake general knowledge, I think. And it's so crazy because I was literally 1 question off from passing. But I went back the second time. I passed, of course. And then after that, we were able to get into the trucks. Now, mind you, when I went to the DMV, I'm from North Carolina, by the way, so I went to a North Carolina DMV. I passed the other 2 tests, so when I had to go back the second time, I did not have to retake them. I only had to retake the whole test that I did not pass. So that's that. After we end up getting our permit, we finished out the second week. So once we actually got on the yard and we actually started learning maneuvers like backing and stuff like that, the first thing they taught us was a straight back. The second thing they taught us was an offset. If you don't know what an offset is, that's basically you trying to get from this lane to this lane where you're backing. And then they taught us a 90-degree angle back. Honestly, it went pretty smooth. I'm really a fast learner and I catch on quickly. Not saying that I was perfect every single time, but I did get the hang of how to turn the wheel and maneuver around. So we did maneuvers in the yard for at least a good week, maybe a week and a half, until we got up to a certain amount of hours. So one thing that kind of helped me out, and probably other students too, is that there were already students there that came in before us. There might have been some students already doing their road driving. There might have been some students that was already doing their backing. So like, there's 3 different stages. It was the classroom, the backing, and road. So there was just students everywhere, but the students that was in the yard doing their backing, you know, they were helping us out as newcomers or whatever. So like, it was one big family. And I don't want to say family because it's like we wasn't really close, but they were really helpful. So after about that week and a half, 2 weeks of doing backing and stuff like that and just practicing, like I said, after we accumulated a certain amount of hours, they finally let us do our road driving and just practicing driving on the road in real life. So it was me and 2 other students at a time, maybe 3. It just depends on how many instructors they had that day, how many students actually came to class. We would just literally take turns from the time to 8 to 4. Then we had a lunch break at 12. We would stop at a truck stop or do something, or either come back to the yard at 12 o'clock for lunch. But that whole day was like we're all swapping out, and we're all driving. So eventually I think I did finish in about 5 weeks. I finished all of my 160 hours in about 5 weeks. And then after that, I had to test out. Now, testing out, they got a examiner, and he literally, basically everything you learn is literally everything you're doing during your test. So he made me do a pre-trip, literally every single thing. The correct way to do a pre-trip, the way you are taught to do a pre-trip is the way I had to test out and do a pre-trip. Like, everything under the hood I had to do. I even had to do an in-cab inspection, like pumping my brakes. So like, if you really want to like know what a full pre-trip inspection is, please go look it up, because you're probably going to have to do that during your test. More than likely you're going to have to do that during your test. So like I said, we started off, we had to do a pre-trip inspection. And then he had me do all 3 backs. So he had me do a straight back, which is literally I had to back straight up and keep the trailer and the tractor straight, and back between like 5 cones and just get the truck and the trailer all the way back through the cones. Then I had to pull up, then I had to set up, then I had to do my offset, which is moving the truck from this lane to that lane. Then I had to pull up, and then I had to do a 90-degree back. And then after that, that's when we did the road test. And basically, you know, just make sure we're driving safe, and, you know, things of that sort. So I end up finishing and actually getting my CDL certificate and everything. I think it was January the 24th. It might be a day or 2 off, but yeah. And then another thing too, I forgot to mention, so they had 2 options for us when we were doing our road test. So when we test out, to drive either a manual truck or an automatic truck, and I chose to drive a manual truck. So that's what I learned how to do, is drive a manual truck first, which I feel like everybody should do. I feel like everybody should learn how to drive a manual truck. And I did that also to not have any restrictions on my CDL, but I do have one restriction. That's just because my glasses, I need to make sure I wear glasses or whatever. So that was really like my CDL process. It really went smooth. Went to my CDL school for about 4 weeks, took the last week testing out. And I also forgot to mention another thing too. I actually did not pass my test the first time in the end when I was actually going to get my CDL. I did not pass the first time. It was actually during my in-cab pre-trip inspection. It's like certain things you gotta do. So like, I got to this one part where you're supposed to test the brakes or something like that. Basically, I had skipped a step, and I started testing the brakes, where you got to pump the brakes and let all the air drain out to make sure your alarms work. I did that step before I had did something else, and I forgot. But that caused me not to pass the first time, but I ended up coming back the second time and I passed. So yeah, that's really my CDL experience. I went to school for about 4 weeks, and then like that 5th week, or maybe 6th week, I really don't know the timing, but I was really testing out for like a whole week, 2 weeks straight. So like, it was pretty smooth though. And then right on after that, I had found me a job. So that's my CDL process. There's so many more ways out here that you can go get your CDL. I know like my cousin, I think she actually went to a company and she went to the schooling through them. There's just so many ways that you can go get your CDL out here, but I recommend that if you're thinking about getting your CDL, just do it. because as long as you do right by your CDL, you're not drinking and driving, you're not reckless driving, and even in your personal car, if you're just doing right, you're gonna always find a job. Like, you're gonna always find a job. It might not be the best paying job, but it's better than some of these 9-to-5s out here. It's better than working in fast food. It's better than working in retail for some. So like, if you really think about getting your CDL, do it, because you can always quit driving trucks and go do something regular. And if you want to come back to trucking, you can always do it because you have a CDL, as long as you're doing right and keeping your record clean. So I end up taking a couple of notes. Give me 1 second, y'all. They just called me and they just gave me a door to back into. So I'm gonna get right back with y'all. All right, you guys, so I finally got into the dock. So if you hear any noises in the back or you see my camera shaking, it's them in my trailer with the forklift. But on to the second half of this video, where I just personally want to give people who think about getting their CDLs, even new drivers, some tips and advice. Not telling anybody that you should follow what I say, but it's just my advice from me to you. The first piece of advice that I got is to be mentally prepared, because a career change is already stressful and a lot on people, but doing a career change and deciding that you want to drive trucks is a big change. So if you're not mentally prepared, like you're mentally just not there, you're going through stuff like grieving and stuff of that sort, I do not recommend you going to get your CDLs. Now, when I say that, that's me saying get your CDLs, but I don't recommend you going on the road, if that makes sense. But I don't know, everybody's different. Like I just said, I would just be mentally prepared, because it can really be a lot trying to do career changes and starting to drive trucks, because 9 times out of 10, after you get your CDLs, I'm not gonna say you have to go on the road, but most jobs are gonna want you to go on the road, which means time away from your family, time away from friends. You're really gonna spend a lot of time alone. So like, be mentally prepared for this. Like, actually know in your mind that this is something you want to do. My second advice is to be financially prepared. So not saying have all the money in the world, but like I told y'all already, there's different ways that you can go about getting your CDL. And I'm going to use me for an example. So I was originally a manager at FedEx. You know, the pay was decent, the pay was good, it got my bills paid. But in order for me to go to CDL school, I had to drop down from that position, because literally my CDL school was a full-time unpaid job, if that makes sense. I was at school literally from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock. So like, I couldn't be no manager no more. And luckily, you know, my bosses was nice enough to let me leave work early. But either way, my hours were still getting cut. So depending on which route you take, I just say be financially prepared, because I had to kind of take a pay cut and get my hours cut, but I still had to make sure bills were paid. You're not getting paid in CDL school. Well, on my end, I wasn't getting paid for CDL school. So like, I really had to make sure that like I had my credit cards paid up. I had to make sure I had some debt paid up. I had to make sure I had money saved up for a rainy day, just in case I didn't have it while I was in school. So my advice would be financially prepared, at least a little bit. So my third bullet point that I wrote down was to do your research on different opportunities. And piggying back off of what I said in the beginning of this video, there's different opportunities. So like, actually do your research and figure out which route you want to take to obtain your CDLs, whether that be going to an actual CDL school or actually, wait, y'all, it's snowing out here. Anyways, like I was saying, just do your research whether you actually want to go to a CDL school or actually find a company that you want to drive for and see if they offer CDL school. Because I know some of the big companies like CR England, Warner maybe, I'm not really sure, Swift, I think just big companies like that, they may offer schooling for people who want to get their CDL. But I just really wanted to say, like, do your research on different opportunities, and not only that, after you get your CDL, still do research on different companies and stuff like that. So using me as an example again, the first company that I was with, I did not do any research. I just really just took a leap of faith and just said, well, I'm just about to go with this company without doing any research. And I ended up leaving that company in the first 6 months of me driving truck. But to add to that, I wouldn't say actually listen to what people say about a certain company or read the reviews and make your decision based off of that, because at the end of the day, trucking is what you make it. Like this new company I'm with, I'm not gonna lie, I've seen a lot of not too good reviews on this company, but like so far I love this company. So my fourth bullet point is to ask questions. If you got any truck driver friends or know any truck drivers, or you come across a truck driver YouTube channel or TikTok or social media, whatever, I highly suggest that you ask truck driver questions that you should be asking the company, if that makes sense. Like, using me as an example, I had some truck drivers kind of in my corner when I was going to get my CDL. So like, I asked them questions and they were able to tell me things that I should be asking companies and stuff like that. So like, really ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions. Like, so, you know, I have like trucker acquaintances that I met through this company. You know, we keep in contact sometimes, but like, there was this lady there, she been driving trucks for 22 years. There's a guy that I met, he's younger than me, and he been driving trucks for 2 years. And you know me, I've only been driving trucks for like 7, barely 8 months probably, because I took me a little break. But with that being said, like, get to know some truck drivers, because you learn something new every single day. And like I said before, no question is a dumb question when it comes to trucking. So on to my fifth bullet point, you guys, I wrote down to do on the road for at least 6 months. And I'm not gonna lie, I know a couple of drivers fresh out of CDL school. They were able to find them a local job where they're home every week. They were able to find a dedicated regional job where they're home weekly. But I kind of recommend you do on the road for at least 6 months, for the simple fact that when some of these companies look at your record, they're gonna want you to have on the road experience. Not saying all, but some. And being on the road, I low-key feel like, whoa. Being on the road, I kind of feel like it helps you better your mental for yourself, if that makes sense. I really don't feel like that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it, y'all, but like, it's like I was just with myself all day, every day. And I was able to get to know myself a little bit more, instead of just being around a lot of people that just isn't good for the mental. But another reason why I recommend you going on the road is for the simple fact, so you can actually travel and see different places. And not only that, another reason is also getting to experience the different cities and the different conditions that you'll be driving in. Like one time, you guys, with my trainer, I was all the way out in Arizona, and then we had to take a load to Pennsylvania. We get to Pennsylvania, it's snowing. So like, just actually traveling all across the US and getting to experience the different driving conditions and just stuff like that. Yeah, I just recommend driving on the road for at least 6 months so you can get that full experience of a truck driver. My next bullet point is to not get discouraged. And when I say don't get discouraged, like, especially being a new person with a new CDL and new at a company or something, do not get discouraged. And that goes back to ask questions. No question is a dumb question. Always ask questions. But one example, don't want to sound cocky or anything, but when I was in CDL school and I was learning how to drive the manual truck, I'm not gonna lie, I caught on the very first day. Like, I caught on the first day, and I really do feel like it's the simple fact that when I learned how to drive a car, I first learned how to drive a manual stick shift car. So it's kind of easy for me to catch on with a truck, but a car and a truck is not the same thing. It's completely different. But I also had a good instructor too. You know, he was walking me through the steps on how to switch gears in the truck, how to downshift and do all of that. But I caught on that first day, speaking on experience, the students that was with me in the truck, when it was their turn to drive, I'm not gonna lie, it was really hard for them to catch on how to drive a manual truck. But going back to the not be discouraged, by the time it was time to test out and for them to drive the manual to test out to actually get their CDLs, they were good. It just took time and patience. And that's why I say don't get discouraged, because everybody learns on a different pace. And I think this is my last bullet. Picking back off of don't get discouraged. Be willing to learn and retain knowledge. Don't think you're just gonna come in trucking and learn stuff and then just forget about it. Because I'm not gonna lie, this is not high school. These aren't the little college courses you take where you just learn it and then you forget about it because it doesn't pertain to your profession. No, everything you learn with trucking, you're gonna need to know, like every single thing. And I don't know if you guys watch Vlogmas Day 2, but the pre-trip. The pre-trip is a very, 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 very most important thing that you need to know in trucking. That is the most important thing you need to know during trucking. Because like I said, back during Vlogmas Day 2, that's when I got pulled by DOT at the weigh station, and they saw that my hub seal was leaking. Now, mind you, I'm not gonna lie, and I hold myself fully accountable. And you know, I felt like if I actually looked at it instead of just like walking by and looking at it, I actually would have caught that, and I could have reported that and prevented me from getting a DOT violation and all of that. But like I said, everything you need to know, like, it's just a lot. It's a lot, but you're gonna have to be able to retain all of that information, like all of it. You need to know 10 years from now, 20 years from now, however long you want to drive trucks, you need to know how to do a pre-trip inspection. Also, another thing too, for me switching companies, the system is a little bit different. In this truck, we use tablets. In my first job, I was used to using a Qualcomm, so like getting used to this and how to use this, it was kind of challenging. Well, I was intimidated and I was kind of discouraged at first because I was like, this is a lot. Like, I'm not used to this. I don't think I'm gonna be able to catch on quickly on how to use this tablet. I think it's called a GeoTab. But I was able to catch on and I was able to retain that knowledge. So like, be willing to learn. I don't know what else to add on to that, but just be willing to learn. And most of all, this is like a really, really, really dangerous career because we're on the road literally all day, driving all day, hours, miles, non-stop. I know it may sound a little cliche, but at the end of the day, have fun. Have fun driving trucks. Like make you some trucker friends, create those trucker group chats. If you're out on the road and you got time on your hands, stop by that mall, go shopping, you know, just have fun, because it doesn't have to be drive all day, every day, wake up, go to sleep, driving. I hope this video reached somebody who's thinking about going to get their CDLs. I highly encourage you to go get your CDLs, because as long as you got your CDL, you got a job. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Like I said once before, share this video to somebody that you know that wants to go get their CDLs or wants to start driving trucks. Send this video to them. You never know. It might actually get them that little encouraged to go get their CDLs. But like I said, I highly encourage you to go get your CDLs. This was the best decision I've ever made. But that's it for Vlogmas Day 16. I hope you guys enjoyed. King Chris out.